Have you ever watched a movie and been completely pulled in? The hero is running through a creaky old house. Every footstep echoes on the dusty floorboards. A door groans open, rain lashes against the windows. You feel like you're right there, don't you? Well, here's a secret. Almost none of those sounds were recorded when they filmed the scene. They were added later. This is the magic of Foley. It's the art of creating everyday sounds for movies, television shows, and even video games. These artists are the unsung heroes of the audio world, crafting an entire soundscape from scratch. When actors are on a set, the microphones are focused on one thing and one thing only: their voices. The sound crew wants to capture their dialogue as clearly as possible. They don't want the sound of a camera dolly rolling by or a crew member accidentally coughing. That means all the other sounds get lost. The rustle of a character's jacket, the clink of a coffee cup, the thud of a book hitting a table. All of that needs to be recreated. This is where Foley artists step in. The term Foley actually comes from a real person. His name was Jack Foley, and he was one of the pioneers of sound effects back in the early days of Hollywood. When movies transitioned from silent films to talkies, filmmakers suddenly needed a way to add realistic sound effects that matched the action. Jack and his team developed techniques for performing sounds in sync with the picture, and his methods were so effective that the craft was named in his honor. Without Foley, movies would feel empty. Imagine a sword fight with no clang of steel, just actors waving props around in silence. Foley adds weight, texture, and believability to every single moment. It's the glue that holds the entire auditory experience of a film together, making the imaginary world on screen feel completely and utterly real. It's a beautiful, beautiful illusion. Let's take a tour of a Foley studio, or as they call it, a Foley stage. To me, this is the ultimate workshop. It's like the best stocked garage or prop room you could ever imagine. A Foley stage is essentially a soundproofed room filled with all sorts of bizarre and wonderful things. The main goal is to control the sound completely, so the walls are heavily padded to prevent any echoes or outside noise from leaking in. In the center of the room, you'll find the performance area, where all the magic happens. The floor of this performance area is a key feature. It's not just one surface, it's a collection of different Foley pits. You'll always find one with dirt, another with gravel, maybe one with sand, and another with water. This allows the artist to create any kind of footstep imaginable. Need a character walking on a dirt path? Step in the dirt pit. A chase scene across a gravel driveway? Time for the gravel pit. They also have various slabs of material like concrete, wood, marble, and linoleum to cover all their bases. It's a playground for footsteps. Looking around the rest of the room, you'll see shelves, racks, and bins overflowing with props. It looks like a wonderfully organized hoarder's paradise. You'll find old doors of every shape and size, car doors mounted on stands, a whole assortment of windows, cabinets, and drawers. There are stacks of plates, piles of cutlery, old telephones, keyboards, and squeaky chairs. Anything that a character in a movie might interact with is likely sitting somewhere in this room. A massive screen hangs on one wall, playing the movie scene the artists are working on. In front of it, a series of microphones are strategically placed to capture the performance. It's a perfect marriage of live performance and technical precision. So, what kind of stuff do you actually find in a Foley artist's toolbox? The answer is everything. The beauty of Foley is that the best tool for the job is often not what you'd expect. Let's start with the basics. Shoes. A Foley artist has a massive collection of footwear. Men's dress shoes, women's high heels, sneakers, work boots, sandals, slippers. Each pair has a unique sound, and they are essential for creating character-specific footsteps. A simple box of cornstarch in a leather pouch is a classic Foley trick. Squeezing it makes the perfect sound of footsteps crunching in fresh snow. A pair of old leather gloves can be twisted and squeezed to mimic the sound of a bird's wings flapping. What about the sound of fire? Gently crinkling a piece of cellophane sounds remarkably like a crackling campfire. And for gooey, squishy, or bone-breaking sounds, vegetables are your best friend. Creating the right sound is only half the battle. The other half, performing that sound in perfect sync with the action, is often harder. The Foley artist in the booth watches the scene play repeatedly. They study the actor's movements, they study the timing, they study the rhythm, They study the energy. They internalize the performance to replicate it. This process is called Foley walking, or cutting Foley. Then they walk in place while watching the screen. They match the actor's gait. Left foot, right foot, a stumble, a jump. They land each footstep exactly when the actor hits the ground. After footsteps, they move on to the props pass. Set a glass down on a table, rustle a newspaper, type on a keyboard, jingle keys in a pocket. Finally, there's often a cloth pass. It's subtle, but it adds texture. The rustle of a jacket sleeve, the swish of pants. When all these layers, footsteps, props, and cloth, are mixed together, they create a rich, believable sonic tapestry that brings the character to life. The world of Foley is filled with brilliant, counterintuitive solutions. Some of the most iconic sounds in cinema were made with the most unexpected objects. Let's pull back the curtain on a few. Remember the sound of the boulder rolling after Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark? That massive, terrifying rumble wasn't a giant rock. The sound designers actually recorded a Honda Civic rolling down a gravelly hill with its engine off. What about the lightsabers in Star Wars? That iconic hum is probably one of the most famous sound effects in history. He combined the hum of an old television set with the whirring sound of a 35mm film projector motor. The clashing sounds were made by waving a microphone past the TV speaker to create a Doppler effect, the blaster sounds. Those were created by hitting a steel guy wire from a radio tower with a hammer. In many horror and action movies, the sound of bones breaking or bodies being stabbed is often created in the produce aisle. Snapping celery stalks, snapping carrots, stabbing a head of lettuce, stabbing a cabbage, plunge a knife into a grapefruit, plunge a knife into a watermelon. The squelch and crunch are disturbingly realistic. Even something as magical as E.T. had its sound secrets. The sound of E.T. S waddling walk was created by a Foley artist squishing their hands in a bowl full of Jell-O. To get the gooey, otherworldly sound of his body movements, they used a t-shirt filled with wet towels being squished. It's easy to take sound for granted in modern movies, but if you were to strip away the Foley, you would feel its absence immediately. The world on screen would suddenly feel hollow and fake. When you hear the crunch of leaves under a character's feet, you feel the crispness of the autumn air. When you hear the gentle clink of their teacup, you feel the quiet intimacy of the moment. Are they heavy and confident, or are they light and hesitant? The sound tells you about their emotional state. These sounds create a believable world for the story to unfold in. They are the details that make the fantasy feel real. At its heart, Foley is not just a technical process. It is a profoundly creative and imaginative art form. It is the ultimate form of sonic problem-solving. A Foley artist is given a moving image and a simple directive: make this feel real. How they get there is a journey of experimentation, ingenuity, and happy accidents. Think, the sound of bacon frying can double for falling rain, or a stapler can sound like a gun cocking. A great Foley artist can give those footsteps character and emotion. They can make you feel the weight of a character's sadness in their slow, shuffling pace. The spirit of Foley is the spirit of a builder, a maker, a tinkerer. It's about not being afraid to try something ridiculous. What happens if I hit this metal sheet with a wet mop? What sound does a frozen turkey make if I drop it on concrete? This playful curiosity is the engine of innovation in the Foley studio. So, the next time you watch a film, remember the hidden artists in their soundproofed workshops, surrounded by junk and armed with vegetables. One perfectly timed footstep, one door creak, and one celery snap at a time. It's pure, unadulterated movie magic.